Once upon a time, in a small cottage at the edge of a forest, there lived a poor widow and her son Jack. They had once been prosperous farmers, but after Jack's father died, hard times had fallen upon them. Year by year, they sold off their land, their furniture, their father's tools, everything they owned just to survive. Finally, they had nothing left but their cottage and one milk-white named Milky White. One morning, Jack's mother woke him before dawn with tears in her eyes. "Jack," she said, her voice breaking, "we have no food left, not a crust of bread, not a potato, not even a turnip. We must sell Milky White. Take her to market and get the best price you can. We'll need at least 5 gold pieces to see us through the winter." Jack loved Milky White. She'd been part of the family since he was a small boy, but he knew his mother was right. He kissed the cow's soft nose, took her rope halter in hand, and set off down the road toward the market town. He hadn't gone more than a mile when he met a strange old man sitting on a stone wall. The man wore a coat of many colors, patched together from dozens of different fabrics, and his eyes sparkled with mischief and something else, something that might have been magic. "Good morning, young Jack," the old man said. Jack stopped in surprise. "How do you know my name?" The old man smiled. "I know many things. I know you're taking that fine cow to market. I know your mother needs 5 gold pieces. And I know that I can offer you something much better than gold." "Better than gold?" Jack laughed. "Nothing's better than gold when you're starving." The old man reached into his pocket and pulled out 5 beans. They were unusual beans, each one a different color: red, blue, green, yellow, and purple, and they seemed to glow faintly in his weathered palm. "These are magic beans," the old man said solemnly. "Plant them tonight, and by morning they'll grow into something wonderful, something that will change your life forever. I'll trade you these 5 beans for your cow." Jack should have walked away. He should have remembered his mother's tears and her desperate need for real money. But there was something hypnotic about those glowing beans, something that called to the part of him that still believed in magic despite all the hardship he'd endured. "It's a deal," Jack said, and handed over Milky White's rope. The old man gave him the beans, patted the cow's flank, and walked away, whistling a tune Jack had never heard before. By the time Jack thought to call after him with questions, the man had vanished around a bend in the road. Jack ran home, excited to show his mother the magic beans. He burst through the cottage door, breathless and grinning. "Mother, Mother, you'll never believe what I traded Milky White for." His mother looked up from her spinning wheel, hope brightening her tired face. "5 gold pieces? 6? Tell me, Jack." "Better than gold." Jack opened his hand to reveal the 5 colorful beans. Magic beans. The man said they'll grow into something wonderful that will change our lives forever. The hope in her mother's face died. Her expression went from joy to disbelief to fury in the space of a heartbeat. "You fool! You stupid, foolish boy! We're starving, and you traded our only cow for beans?" She snatched them from his hand and hurled them out the open window into the darkness. "Go to bed, Jack. Go to bed without supper. Not that we have any supper to give you. And don't come down until you can tell me how you're going to fix what you've done." She collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Jack crept up to his small attic room. His earlier excitement turned to shame. His mother was right. He'd been a fool. Magic beans. What had he been thinking? He lay awake for hours, listening to his mother's muffled crying from below, staring at the ceiling and hating himself. Finally, exhausted by guilt and hunger, he fell into a troubled sleep. Jack woke to an odd green light filtering through his small attic window. For a moment, he couldn't place what was wrong. Then he realized his window faced east, but the light wasn't the golden color of sunrise. It was emerald green, and it seemed to be moving, pulsing like a living thing. He rushed to the window and gasped. Where his mother had thrown the beans the night before, an enormous beanstalk had grown. No, grown wasn't the right word. It had erupted from the earth like a geyser of vegetation. It was thicker than the oldest oak in the forest, and it rose up, up, up into the sky until it disappeared into the clouds far above. The leaves were the size of wagon wheels, and they glowed with that same eerie green light he'd seen through his window. The stalk itself twisted and spiraled upward like a living ladder with thick vines and branches that looked easy to climb. Jack had never seen anything like it. It was terrible and beautiful and completely impossible. He dressed quickly and ran downstairs. His mother was already outside, staring up at the beanstalk with her mouth open in shock. The old man wasn't lying. They really were magic beans. His mother found her voice. Magic they may be, but they won't feed us. That doesn't change what you... I'm going to climb it. You're going to what? Climb it. There must be something at the top. Treasure maybe, or something we can trade. The old man said it would change our lives. I have to see. Jack, no. It's dangerous. It's unnatural. We should chop it down before... But Jack was already climbing. The beanstalk was easy to scale, with branches and vines spaced perfectly like the rungs of a ladder. He climbed quickly, driven by a mixture of curiosity and desperation. Maybe, just maybe, he could find something up there that would make everything right. His mother called after him, but her voice faded as he climbed higher. Soon he was above the trees, then above the hills, then above the birds. The air grew colder and thinner. He passed through a layer of clouds that left him damp and shivering. And then, just when his arms were beginning to ache and he was wondering if the beanstalk went on forever, he broke through the top of the clouds. Before him stretched an impossible landscape. There was land up here, solid land made of clouds that somehow held his weight. In the distance, he could see a massive castle built of white stone that gleamed in the sunlight. Roads of packed cloud led across the landscape, and in the far distance, he could see what looked like forests and rivers, all made of cloud stuff that shouldn't exist but did. Jack stood at the top of the beanstalk and stared in wonder. The old man had been right. This was wonderful. This could change everything.
He began walking toward the castle. It took longer to reach than he'd expected. Distances were deceptive in this strange place. But finally, he stood before the castle gates. They were enormous, built for someone much, much larger than any person Jack had ever seen. The gates stood open. Jack hesitated. Every story his mother had told him when he was small came back to him. Stories about giant ogres who lived in the clouds and ate people like cattle. But those were just stories, weren't they? Fairy tales to frighten children. Besides, he'd come this far. He couldn't turn back now. He walked through the gates and found himself in a courtyard paved with white stone. Everything was oversized. The doors, the windows, the fountain in the center of the yard. A bucket sitting by the fountain was large enough for Jack to hide inside. He heard footsteps then, heavy and thunderous, shaking the ground beneath his feet. Something enormous was approaching. Jack dove behind the fountain just as a giant woman emerged from the castle. She was as tall as 3 houses stacked on top of each other, with a kind face and gray hair pulled back in a bun. She was carrying a basket of laundry and humming to herself. She walked right past Jack's hiding spot without noticing him and began hanging enormous shirts and dresses on a clothesline. Jack's stomach chose that moment to growl, loudly. The giant woman froze. She turned her head, sniffing the air, and spoke in a voice like distant thunder. "Fee fi fee fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." Jack's heart nearly stopped. He pressed himself against the fountain, trying to become invisible. But then the woman's face softened. She bent down and peered behind the fountain. "Come out, little one. I won't hurt you. You poor thing, you must be terrified." Slowly, Jack emerged from his hiding place. Up close, the giant woman's face was even kinder than he'd thought, wrinkled and weathered, but with warm eyes that reminded him of his grandmother.
"Please," Jack said, his voice small and frightened. "I don't mean any harm. I'm just hungry. My mother and we have nothing. I climbed the beanstalk, hoping to find something to help us." The giant woman's expression turned sad. "A beanstalk? Then you're the one the prophecy spoke of. Oh, you poor child. You have no idea what you've walked into." "Prophecy? What prophecy?" Before she could answer, another sound rumbled through the courtyard. Footsteps, even heavier than the woman's. The whole castle seemed to shake. The giant woman's face went pale with fear. "My husband, he's home early. Quick, you must hide." She scooped Jack up in one enormous hand and rushed into the castle. She ran through a kitchen with an oven large enough to roast an elephant, past a dining hall with a table that could seat 50 giants, and finally set Jack down inside a massive copper pot. "Stay here and don't make a sound," she whispered. "My husband, he's not like me. If he finds you, he'll..." She couldn't finish the sentence. A voice boomed through the castle, making the pots and pans rattle. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." Jack crouched inside the copper pot, his heart hammering so hard he was sure the giant would hear it. Through a gap between the pot and its lid, he could see into the kitchen. The giant who stomped in was nothing like his wife. He was even larger than her, with a cruel face and small, piggy eyes that darted around suspiciously. He wore fine clothes and had a great beard that hung down to his belt. Around his neck hung a chain of gold so thick it would have taken 10 men to lift it. "Wife," he bellowed, "I smell man flesh. Where is he?" The giant woman, Jack realized he should think of her as the giantess, wrung her hands nervously. "You're imagining things, husband. It's just the stew. I used extra bones today." "Don't lie to me." The giant strode around the kitchen, sniffing like a bloodhound. Jack held his breath as the giant passed within inches of his hiding spot. Finally, the giant seemed to give up. He sat down at the enormous table with a thump that rattled every dish in the kitchen. "Bring me my supper, and my hen, and my gold. I want to count my treasures tonight." The giantess hurried to serve him, bringing platters of roasted meat, loaves of bread as big as Jack's whole body, and flagons of wine the size of barrels. While the giant ate, she disappeared and returned carrying a hen. But this was no ordinary hen. Its feathers gleamed like polished gold, and its eyes were bright and intelligent. The giantess set it on the table beside the giant's plate.
"Lay," the giant commanded through a mouthful of meat. The hen ruffled its golden feathers and laid an egg, but not a normal egg. This egg was pure gold, gleaming in the firelight. Jack stared in wonder. A hen that laid golden eggs? If he could take that home to his mother, they'd never be poor again. They could sell just one egg and have enough money for years. The giant finished eating and pushed his plate away. Now bring me my gold." The giantess brought out several large bags and set them on the table. The giant opened them and began counting gold coins, stacking them in tall piles and running his thick fingers through them with obvious pleasure. Jack watched, his mind racing. The hen and the gold. Either one would save him and his mother. But how could he possibly steal from a giant? After what felt like hours, the giant's counting slowed. His eyes began to droop. Finally, his head fell forward onto the table with a tremendous thud, and he began to snore, great rumbling snores that shook the rafters. The giantess immediately rushed to the copper pot and lifted Jack out. "Quick, you must leave now while he sleeps. Follow me." But Jack had other plans. "The hen, the one that lays golden eggs. Please, I need it. My mother and I, we're starving." The giantess's face filled with sorrow. "Oh, you poor child. That hen, it doesn't belong to my husband. He stole it years ago from a good man he killed. The man was trying to protect his family, and my husband murdered him and took everything he owned."
Jack felt a chill run through him. Was the man's name Brennan? The giantess looked startled. "How did you know?" "That was my father's name. He disappeared when I was 5. My mother always said he'd gone to seek his fortune and never came home." Tears welled in the giantess's eyes. "Then this hen is rightfully yours. Your father died trying to protect it from my husband. Take it, child. Take it and go quickly." Jack crept to the table where the giant slept. Up close, the giant was even more terrifying, all muscle and mass and power. One swipe of his hand could crush Jack like a bug. Moving as carefully as he'd ever moved in his life, Jack climbed onto the table and approached the golden hen. The bird looked at him with intelligent eyes and made no sound as he gathered it into his arms. He was climbing down from the table when disaster struck. Jack's foot slipped on a puddle of spilled wine. He fell, landing on the stone floor with a thump that seemed deafening in the quiet kitchen. The golden hen squawked in alarm. The giant's snoring stopped. "What?" the giant rumbled, his eyes snapping open. They fixed on Jack, and fury twisted the giant's face. "Thief! Wife! There is a human in my house!" "Run!" the giantess screamed at Jack. "Run!"
He bolted from the kitchen with the hen clutched to his chest, the giant's roars shaking the castle behind him. He could hear the thunderous footsteps giving chase, hear the giant's voice bellowing, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, you'll never escape me, Englishman." Jack burst out of the castle and ran across the cloudland toward the beanstalk. He could see it in the distance, still glowing with that green light. Behind him, the footsteps were getting closer. He reached the beanstalk and didn't hesitate. He jumped onto it and began climbing down as fast as he could, the hen still tucked under one arm. Above him, he heard the giant reach the top of the beanstalk. "Come back with my hen!" the giant roared. And then Jack felt the beanstalk shudder as the giant began to climb down after him. Jack climbed faster than he'd ever climbed anything in his life. Down through the clouds, down past the birds, down toward the green earth far below. But the giant was faster. The beanstalk shook with each movement of those massive hands and feet. Jack could see his cottage now, could see his mother standing in the yard looking up in horror. "Mother!" he screamed. "The axe! Get father's axe!" His mother understood immediately.
She ran into the cottage and emerged with the old woodsman's axe Jack's father had left behind. Jack's feet touched the ground and he jumped clear of the beanstalk. "Chop it down!" he shouted. "Hurry!" His mother swung the axe. The blade bit into the beanstalk with a solid thunk. She swung again and again, chips of magic wood flying. Above them, the giant was halfway down, close enough that they could see his furious face. "I'll grind your bones!" he bellowed. The beanstalk gave a tremendous crack. It swayed, tilted, and then toppled over, taking the giant with it. The giant's scream echoed across the countryside as he fell, hitting the ground with an impact that could be felt for miles around. When Jack and his mother dared to look, there was nothing left of the giant but a great crater in the earth. The beanstalk had vanished, leaving only the 5 holes where the magic beans had been planted. And in Jack's arms, the golden hen clucked contentedly. Jack and his mother stared at each other, both breathing hard, both hardly daring to believe they were alive. "What?" his mother finally managed. "Have you done?" Jack held up the golden hen. "I got us a hen that lays golden eggs. Mother, we're rich. We'll never be poor again." His mother's legs gave out, and she sat down hard in the dirt. Then, to Jack's surprise, she started to laugh. Not the bitter laugh of despair, but real laughter, the kind he hadn't heard from her in years. "Only you, Jack," she said between laughs. "Only you would trade a cow for beans, grow a beanstalk to the clouds, steal from a giant, and somehow manage to come back alive with a fortune. Your father would have been so proud." At the mention of his father, Jack's expression grew serious. "Mother, the giant's wife told me something. Father didn't abandon us. He went up to the clouds. Maybe there was another beanstalk, and the giant killed him. This hen was his. He died protecting it." His mother's laughter died. Tears filled her eyes, but they were different from the tears of poverty and desperation she'd shed so often. These were tears of grief, yes, but also of understanding, of closure. "He never forgot us," she whispered. "All these years I thought he was trying to save us, and now we have what he died to protect. We can live the life he wanted for us." That very day, the hen laid its first golden egg for them. Jack took it to town and sold it to a goldsmith for more money than he'd seen in his entire life. They bought food, real food, not the thin gruel they'd been surviving on. They paid off their debts. They repaired their cottage.
But Jack's mother was wise. "We won't sell an egg every day," she said. "That would draw attention. People would ask questions. We'll sell one every few months, just enough to live comfortably." And so they did. The years passed, and Jack and his mother lived well, but not extravagantly. The hen seemed content in their little cottage, laying golden eggs on a schedule only it understood. They bought back the land they'd sold, restored their farm, and helped their neighbors in times of need. Jack grew into a fine young man. He never forgot his adventure in the clouds, never forgot his father's sacrifice, and never forgot the kindness of the giant's wife who had helped him escape. Sometimes, on quiet evenings, he would look up at the clouds and wonder if she was still there, trapped in that castle with her cruel husband. He hoped she'd found some happiness, some peace. And sometimes, very rarely, he thought he could see a faint green glow among the clouds at night, as if somewhere far above, magic beans were still sprouting, still growing, still connecting earth to sky. But Jack never climbed another beanstalk. Once had been enough. He married eventually, a sweet girl from the village, and they had children of their own. He told them the story of Jack and the beanstalk, though they only half believed it until he showed them the golden hen, now quite old, but still occasionally laying her magical eggs.
"The moral of the story," he told his children, "is not to trust strange old men with magic beans." His wife laughed. "I thought the moral was to be brave and help your family." "Or maybe," Jack's mother added from her rocking chair by the fire, "the moral is that sometimes foolishness and bravery look the same, and the difference is whether things work out in the end." They all laughed at that, while the golden hen clucked softly in her corner, and outside the window, the clouds drifted peacefully across the sky, keeping whatever secrets they still held locked safely above the world of ordinary men.
And if you ever find yourself walking down a country road and meet an old man in a coat of many colors, offering to trade you something impossible for something practical, think of Jack. Think hard. And then, well, that's your choice to make, isn't it? Just remember to bring an axe.